Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, and actually we have a pretty damn full show today, so we are going to have to get into it and get busy rather quickly. To start, Lori Wallach, Director of Global Trade Watch on Trade, Tariffs, and more. She's going to spend some time with us after our first segment, so be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. Lori Wallach, Director of Global Trade Watch, did not mince her words on trade policy. We also want to talk about something that I saw on a few days ago. Zerlina Maxwell hit the race button. When I say she hit the race button, she did exactly what she needed to do. I mean, a lot of times we talk about race in a haphazard kind of a way. I was happy to see this young woman. Well, I don't know how young anymore. I mean, but this young woman get out there and spoke in a manner that needed to be spoken and did it just the way. And you know what? I think everybody is going to appreciate what she did. So, and then to start the show, of course, you know, we're going to have Tamara Shealey. Today is her day. It's Wednesday. It's every other Wednesday. And she will have her piece that she is going to make sure to keep us abreast of. So we're going to have a great show. So Lori Wallach is, in fact, the best messenger of progressives on global trade and more. Lori Wallach tells it like it is. She explains the trade issues in detail in a manner that every American can understand. Interestingly, she does not get too much airtime on mainstream media. And when she's on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or any of these other places, they do not give her the space to tell the message as it should. You know, whenever I talk to her, I make sure and give her that latitude because I mean, there's a lot of things that she understands and that she brings up as well that, you know, we don't think about. She brings it up. So you have to give, when we're talking these types of policies, you have to give people latitude, and that is what we do with Lori on this last time that we had her on. Of course, Zerlina Maxwell recently gave an important narrative on race. One hopes more in the mainstream media will follow. She told it like it is. Now, I did a piece on her a week or two ago, and I didn't think she could have kind of got ahead of how I enjoyed listening to that piece. Well, this one is another good one, and I think one that needs to be explained. Tamara Shealey will discuss how powerful men get away with taking advantage of powerless women. And to be honest, because we're in a patriarchal society, sometimes of powerful women as well. Ask many women in industry if they tolerate what they have to tolerate, things that men would never have to tolerate. Trump was not the exception, folks. He was definitely not the exception. But without further ado, let me bring us back to La Señorita, or La Señora, Tamara Shealey. Welcome aboard, Tamara. How are you doing today?
Hi, Egberto. Good afternoon, Politics Done Right family.
Yes, we are going to have a great show today, and again, you are anchoring the show. So, tell me about powerless or powerful women and men and sex trade and all these bad things.
Oh, Egberto, this is America, right? You know, this country is run by the rich, the wealthy, the white.
Yeah.
So yeah, women in general, we have a hard time. Trump is gaslighting all over the place.
Tell me about it. I mean, it is scary, but you know, when you talk about Trump gaslighting, the thing that bugs me the most, and as a woman, I'd like you to answer this for me because I don't get it. This guy has said the most vile things about women. Imagine Obama saying that. This guy has done the most vile things to women. suppose Obama had done that, or any other guy for that matter, why is it that women still support this dude? And a lot of them. And you know what? From all over. I don't know if you know that. I don't remember her
White
name
women,
right now.
Egberto.
Hold on.
You want to talk about what's her name? Candace Owens.
Candace Owen, thank you very much. And
She's
Candace
bought
has
and
her
sold. She's
but
bought and sold.
she has others as well. So I mean, and to be blunt, I've met too many black men, Latino men. Latino men come up to me and say things like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Macho, he's good." And yeah, I mean, it's not the majority or anything like that, but I just don't see how he gets that sort of a.
Well, I think some women are attracted to power. Some women are attracted to men that they appear to be in control. Some women like to be taken care of, and whatever magnitude that looks like, as long as they're taken care of, they go along with the flow. And I think a lot of that is why he has the support that he has from some women. They like that strength that they think he has, that power, the control that they think that he has.
Now, do you think that can last? Do you think that can last through the election? I mean, I have my feeling about that.
Do you think until 2020? Yeah, I think the women that are for Trump, they're for Trump. They have, they live this life and this lifestyle that they want to protect the status quo. So I believe absolutely it will last. Just here in Georgia, when you think about how 76%, 74%, some very high number of white women actually voted for Brian Kemp over Stacey Abrams. So they saw him as their leader.
That is sad. Now, what do you think about this Epstein thing? That is something that we wanted to talk a little bit about. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. And I think you kind of sent me a text of a similar story. So why don't you tell me the Epstein first and what you thought the similarity is with the story that you talked about.
Oh yeah, so you and Epstein, there's a lot of conspiracy theories behind like what really happened to that man. Do we really believe he committed suicide in a maximum security prison? He was on suicide watch. Like, do we really believe that he actually killed himself?
No.
I
mean, I'll say it out right now. I got in trouble on my site, right? Because I profess to be a fact-based site, which I am, but I don't. On my personal wall, I made a statement to the effect that, do we really think that this? I think it could be. I specifically said this is conspiracy theory coming from me, but I find it hard to believe that this guy just happened to kill himself, even though he was on suicide watch before. And one of my loyal followers castigated me. It's like, he gave me a hard time. And I looked at him, and all I could answer him is saying, "You're right that it's not news. You're right that I'm just spurring it off." But I think every now and then I earn the right to kind of be not 100% fact-based, don't you think?
think so too, Egberto. And I think that he may have killed himself, but somebody turned their head and allowed it to happen.
I love that you said that, because I think even that would be considered, because if the person had a propensity to kill themselves, and he had a roommate, and then you left him without a roommate, and the people who were supposed to watch him every half hour fall asleep. The reason it's half hours, right? It'll take you about 10-15 minutes to rig yourself up to the thing.
Well, we don't know how long it took. He might have been playing. It could have taken 2 minutes, Egberto.
Yeah, but I mean, come on now. You're still going to take 6 minutes to die, So
is that how long it takes? I don't know how long.
Well, I meant to be without oxygen in the brain,
Oh, okay.
when they choke themselves, something like that.
Oh.
So,
but anyhow, I'm not a coroner. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of a weird in that kind of a way. I like to kind of look up those things. Now, tell me about the girl.
Centoya Brown was freed. Everybody, God bless her.
Tell a story.
Bless her. So I don't know the whole story. All I do know that when she was like 16 years old, she was. I don't know whether she was already in the sex trafficking, but she was. She murdered a man who she was, I guess, paid to have sex with. And she was a kid. This was a little, if you looked at her from the video of her when she was 16, when she was actually tried, this was somebody's baby. This was a little girl. All I could see was this little girl with these little ponytails, these little pigtails. And, for her to be given a life sentence. This is a little
It was
girl. They,
it was pathetic, and not only that, the fact that she was with an older man, and this older man was taking advantage of her. I mean, do you let me, and we always ask what was so special about this young lady that she didn't get the benefit of the doubt.
you mean when she actually went to trial that they
Yeah,
didn't?
I mean, I heard some of the tapes, and I mean, it's like,
She
how
was
could you
black, Egberto. I mean, I believe, we when we go to court and we go before these judges and we're tried, when your skin is darker,
Well, we know that that is how the court system does work. One of the
they
reasons.
don't believe us. We're guilty until proven innocent. We're
But that's
guilty
not the.
first.
But even that, she was a young girl with this guy,
This older man,
with
he was what,
older
43?
man.
Yes.
That's all that needs to be said. I mean, when I tell you, all when my daughter was, I don't know how old. I remember having all her girlfriends in the house, and I would say my wife can't be if she's not here, and my daughter have all these girls in the house, I am not here.
Yeah.
I find a way to get somewhere or get out of Dodge. And I mean, it's not that I mean, it's just that I don't want there to be somebody accidentally making any kind of statement. I simply was not there, you know.
And this was a little girl. I mean, like if you go back and look at the video, you can just see this was a little girl, and they locked her up and they threw away the key. So she was released on the 7th a week ago. So God bless her in her new life. I saw some reports where she's actually married
She
an
did?
entertainer. I saw that in another article where she's married an entertainer. So she married somebody pretty immediately. Maybe they have been dating. I don't even know that story. But I've just prayed that she is able to heal beyond what has happened to her. She's actually written a book. I see that'll be out in October. So I just pray that she's able to have a productive life and a sense of normalcy, like where
Right.
she maybe have some children and really kind of settle into what it means to be an adult in America outside
So
of the
she's in
prison.
her 30s now, right? Because I think she was in jail for 15 years or something like that.
She went to jail at 16.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And she spent 15 years in jail.
Yeah, she spent. Yeah.
That is a shame. But anyhow, Tamara, before we go here, we are up to near the 15-minute mark. What else do you have to add for me? What's going on? What's new? What's new in what we're going to be doing, etc., etc.?
Well, the ADOS world, I always have to give a shout out to those that are pushing the ADOS movement nationwide. We are still plugging along. We're still holding candidates and elected officials accountable to making sure that they have an agenda specific to Black and Brown people. I actually posted something about a week ago with over 200 comments on that post right now, talking about letting the Democratic Party know that they will no longer get the Black vote for free. It will be in exchange. You're not going to just have these talking points. We're looking for candidates and elected officials to give us tangibles in 2020. Tangibles. That means something that we can count, we can add, we can use resources. Some tangibles 2020. So this won't be the same kind of election season, Egberto. I know we
Well,
weren't supposed to go there today, but I'm going to use my time to talk about some ADOS
It's your
single
time.
I'm here. So
It's
everybody just be prepared for this ADOS conversation. Egberto was trying to avoid it a little bit today.
No, it's your like I said, it's your time, Miss Shealey. It's your time to bring out whatever subject you want to bring out. And with that, I want to thank you for being here. Give us a closure and tell us what you're doing this week. What's on your broadcast this week?
Ooh, David is having a conversation with white
Explain,
America
because it's
all
going to
by
be.
himself.
I
y'all.
think that people are going to want to see this. So explain the context of that you're doing. Who's David, and what is he doing in your absence on your show?
Yeah, so this Friday, I am actually a law student, so I have an on-campus residency at Emory, so I won't be on the broadcast this Friday. David is going to take over. He is my trusty co-host. We do the broadcast every Friday at 11 a.m. So David is going, he and I talk very candidly, older white gentlemen. We talk about racism, race relations in this country. And he is going to talk specifically to white America about privilege and what it means to be white and how that is to a disadvantage if we are in these times where Trump and this Republican agenda is taking control the way they have. So
And he
It's
has
gonna be good.
so it's going to be. I think it's interesting. It's your show, and your partner on the show is a white guy. Real, and I love David. David is really understands all the concepts, and he's always ready to put it out. Man, sometimes David gets more militant than I do. And
David is a historian. He's a
Yes.
former professor, so he got his facts. He knows his history. He knows the history of this country. He has always stood on the side of solidarity with people of color, and he understands the movement. He respects it, and he believes in reparations, and he wants to see this country heal. And white America has to listen to this kind of white person because it makes sense for all of us.
So I think he also the woman that he's bringing on is a white woman that's going to be discussing those issues as well, or.
Yes, so he's supposed to have a co-host with him. So we'll see how this all kind of plays out. But yeah, David will definitely be here on Friday.
Tell our listeners how to get there, because I want folks to go ahead and see that show with David hosting.
Yeah, David, he's going to be Tamara for Georgia right here on Facebook. You can find it at Tamara Shealey on YouTube. But he will be hosting live at 11 a.m. Eastern. So that's 10 a.m. your time in Central. On this coming Friday, a conversation with white America.
Tamara Shealey, thank you so kindly for being here. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I'll see you next week, not this week, but next week on Tamara for Georgia, your show. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have a great week, Alberto.
You have
Goodbye,
a wonderful
everybody.
night. Thank you so kindly. Bye-bye. Well, folks, we are here now to continue the show. We are going to have a great continuation. Let me first make a preface to this. The first part of the show is a little bit about race now, because with Donald Trump, how can we avoid it? And I want to play a piece for you that from this one is from Zerlina Maxwell, and let me preface it. I'm playing a piece that Zerlina Maxwell did on MSNBC after they interviewed a white guy who said he felt that they were attacking him. He felt that everybody was calling him a racist as a white man. He felt that the entire country is just coming down on him. He also, when he said, and I have a whole lot of colored friends or something like that he used, and Zerlina Maxwell didn't take kindly to that. But more importantly, what she had to say about race is something I think all of us should listen to. And specifically, I think those pundits that are on TV should kind of learn a little bit from how she says this. So please listen to this.
Zerlina, weigh in here. What did you see in that clip?
I saw somebody who seems like he is offended by being called a racist, but then he goes on to use language that, I haven't heard in my entire lifetime to describe black people. So I think that we need to take a step back here. It's not about whether or not Donald Trump is a racist in his heart. I literally do not care. I care about his policies and how they are impacting people who look like me. So does a baby in a cage care that Donald Trump is racist in his heart? I bet you they do not. And so the problem here is that he seems more offended by the label racist than by the babies in the cages, which is what I think the majority of Americans, not Trump's base, are absolutely horrified by. And I think that's where our focus should be. It absolutely should be on the policies and the impact on communities of color, and also the rhetoric, because when he's saying things that are racist, I don't care if he doesn't like being called a racist, stop acting like one. Then I'll stop calling you one.
Do you see a distinction here, Zerlina, between the president? Clearly, the person that Vaughn talked to was taking on what has been said about the president and his clearly racist language onto himself and saying, I feel like I am being called a racist when the president is being called a racist. How should Democrats be dealing with that?
Well, they need to speak truth to power, and I do not see a distinction. If you are supporting a president that is caging brown babies, and you are okay with that, then I'm sorry, that is supporting racist policies. And that is not distinct from supporting a racist president. I think that often we try to get into the semantic game because people take the label of racist so personally, as if I'm saying that you're a terrible human and that you're evil. What I'm saying is that often white Americans need to place themselves in the shoes of people of color and think about how it feels to hear your president say that everyone coming from Mexico is a rapist and murderer, and that a black person coming from the continent of Africa is coming from a shithole country, or that black people that are arrested by the police should not be treated nicely, as if Eric Garner is not dead today because he was choked on camera and no one got in trouble except the person that filmed that. So I think that often we get into this game where people act like you're impinging upon their character, as opposed to saying, look, I'm saying you voted for somebody who absolutely said many racist things before he was elected. Then we had the Charlottesville moment where someone died 2 years ago today because of white supremacist terrorism. And additionally, you have so many other examples from 2016 to today. So I think that we have to draw a line in the sand here and make a moral choice to stand on the side of the majority, which is people of color. Because as Ali Mastel said yesterday on Joy's show, a majority of white people is not a majority of America. It is not.
Now, what makes that so important is the following. She states, I don't know your heart. I don't know what you think inside. All I know is the policies you implement. And if the policies that you implement are racist, what else can I think of you? If you support a person who lock brown kids up in cages without feeling it within your heart, what can I think of you that does not diminish your support for that person? If you don't, if you can picture people who look like you in those cages, and your impression is different than the children you are now picturing in cages, if the policies that are put forth by this president, the policies that harm so many, and you cannot see it even after it is explained, and you cannot go through the eyes of others, then it is not the responsibility of people of color to say, well, you're not a racist. It's the only vision that they see is what you support, what you say is okay to do to other people. So Zerlina, I think in a very eloquent manner, said it exactly as it should. I don't know your heart. I cannot see your heart. I only know your policies, and I only know what you do, and I only know what you support. And that tells me more about you relative to whatever else. But anyhow, so that is an important piece that I think needed to get out there, and I am so happy that she did. I wish more of the pundits out there would say that, because I know a lot of them out there understand that, and a whole lot of them believe that. So I hope we're getting there. All right, that is it for the part that I said I wanted to talk on race. Zerlina Maxwell, I really enjoyed that particular piece there. Now, at Netroots Nation earlier this month, or I think it was earlier this month, I interviewed Lori Wallach. Lori Wallach is the director of, she's the director of Global Trade Watch, and she understands trade. She knows what's going on with trade. She knows what Trump has done. She knows the work. So what I did is I interviewed her I dragged her in at Netroots Nation 2019 and said, hey, I need an update. Just about every Netroots, when I can find her or whatever, I normally get her for an interview. And I said, hey, tell me about this new NAFTA. Tell me about the tariffs. Tell me about the drugs, the pharmaceuticals, or are they really going to be paying the price, all of that? And you know what? Lori did not disappoint. Here we go. Welcome back to Politics Done Right. You know, we're coming incrementally to you. We're continuous. This is a hell of a conference, and we meet some, I like what I call hell of a people, okay? So here's the deal. Climate change, is everything. Trade is everything. And who do we have here with us? Lori Wallach, who is the director of Global Trade Watch. I think it's like a Department of Public Citizen.
You got it.
Welcome aboard Politics Done Right.
Thank you very much.
Tell me what's happening. Last year we interviewed, we were talking then again about the I think we were talking about the other one, the big one. TPP.
We had killed that by then.
We had killed that by then. Okay, so now we have NAFTA. Well, hold on. There's no more NAFTA.
So here's the deal. The old NAFTA.
So wait, am I lying? Did I just lie to you?
The old NAFTA was a disaster. It's still around.
Okay.
The government certified almost 1 million U.S. jobs as lost to NAFTA.
Right.
Since NAFTA's 25 years, real wages in Mexico have gone down in Mexico.
Wait, wages in Mexico have gone down.
So we've lost 1 million jobs, and wages in Mexico are now 40% lower than industrial wages in China.
I didn't know that.
So people, here's some absolute examples of what's going on. Right now, the Chevy Blazer is being built in a brand new factory GM just opened.
Right.
Workers are making $1.88. GM just shut down 3 U.S. factories where workers make between $25 and $35 an hour.
Right.
Right now, AT&T is opening up a call center in Mexico City for 1,000 seats. They're recruiting deported people who are Mexican nationals from the U.S. who speak English and Spanish. They're paying them $2 an hour as compared to their CWA union job in the U.S., which would have been multiple times per hour than they get paid for the day, plus benefits. Here's what's going on. Firestone is making the exact same tires that they make in their Topeka, Kansas plant. They're making it in Mexico. They just built a $600 million plant where they pay people $1.58 to make tires that steel workers make for $28 an hour. Mexican workers working just as smart, just as hard. The race to the bottom means NAFTA has been devastating to people in Mexico, and it has been a catastrophe for working class people in the U.S. And so Trump said he'd replace it.
Right.
And that's where we left off. When I was here last year, they were renegotiating it.
That's what it's. But let me ask you this, because now you have me very concerned. He is given the semblance of I made things better with this new deal to the American workers, specifically the workers in the Midwest. I think what you're telling me is he has not changed anything that's going to help those workers?
Well, so here's the deal. They renegotiated it, and the deal that Trump signed had a few things that are fixed. So those outrageous corporate tribunals, the investor state tribunals.
That is dangerous, yeah.
Those are gone.
Okay.
There's a little loophole that still needs to be closed. That's serious, but he mainly fixed that.
Explain to people what that is, first of all. It's important. It's important people understand what that is.
So this is one of the things in NAFTA that makes it much cheaper and easier to outsource jobs, but it also literally empowers corporations to attack our domestic laws in front of tribunals of 3 corporate attorneys. And the attorneys are empowered to demand governments pay unlimited amounts of taxpayer funds to the multinationals if the multinationals think there's special NAFTA privileges as investors who cannot be regulated have been violated. So how it works is, since NAFTA, almost $400 million has been paid out on corporate attacks in front of these corporate tribunals against water policies, timber policies, toxics bans, safety standards. And these kangaroo courts basically say, yo, government, pay them up. Here's your taxpayer money. These guys don't want to be regulated. So, of course, that also makes it much easier to outsource jobs. Because if you know you will never have any risk, you just get cash from the corporate court. Then you go to Mexico, even though the courts don't work as well. So that's largely gone. But the problem is, while there are better environmental and labor standards, they're not enforceable, and they've got too many loopholes to actually stop the outsourcing. So the new deal Trump signed has some things fixed, but the bottom line is it won't stop the ongoing job outsourcing. And here's the real skunk. He let pharma rig it. So it will raise medicine prices.
Even though he said he's... Okay.
The new deal has new monopoly protections for pharma that would lock into place the very policies Trump claims he wants to get rid of to make prices more competitive and cheaper.
Lori, I'm a bit perturbed here. Let me tell you why. Please explain to me why I am learning this. And by the way, I know I could read it if I went ahead and read the briefs. I know that. Most people don't.
It's not getting
I don't
covered.
have the time
It's
to
not
have
getting
all of
covered.
that.
It's outrageous.
And my
You're right.
question to you is this. Why is it that you are not getting more coverage in all the mainstream media right now?
You know, it's a very sad state of affairs where basically CNN, MSNBC are so in the frame of we're against Trump that they can't get their heads around the fact that part of what this negotiation on NAFTA was about is if he's against NAFTA, then they're for NAFTA.
Right, right.
So they can't think about that there may be something specific that they ought to criticize him about, even though they like to criticize him, because they're just against any changing of NAFTA.
Right.
And that's actually a very dangerous thing politically for 2020, because if Democratic presidential candidates like Biden
Right.
basically make it seem like, oh no, save NAFTA,
Right.
as you started out in the Midwest,
Right. It's gone.
they're going to lose.
But I don't think we have much to worry about Biden. He won't be the.
Well, thank God both Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders
Yeah.
got the right message on trade. But
Right.
honestly, people like Kamala Harris
Right.
and Buttigieg, they're wrong too. They
So-
basically are not good on the trade issue. Now, all 23 Democratic candidates
Or better.
signed up to say, we will oppose a NAFTA that has the big pharma giveaways,
Right.
and we will oppose a NAFTA unless the environmental and labor standards are improved. You can go to citizenstradecampaign.org. It's the big labor coalition.
Citizenstradecampaign.org.
And you can look at all of the questionnaires. All the candidates came back and said that. But at the same time, they've been saying things like, oh my God, the too bad we're out of the TPP or save NAFTA. And that's fatal. That's how Trump gets a second term.
The TPP was horrendous, and NAFTA horrendous. Tell me what the solution is now. Now we know that these two policies are still, even the new NAFTA, in as much as it got rid of the kangaroo court.
But here's what's going on. What's going on. To her credit, Speaker Pelosi has said to Trump, we're not going to pass your new NAFTA, and it's not going into effect unless Congress approves it.
Right.
Unless and until you take out the big pharma giveaways, buddy, and you put in real labor and environmental standards and enforcement. So you can take your big stack of 800 pages of agreement, and it can just go into a refrigerator.
No, okay.
Because we're not passing that puppy until you fix it. And she's laid out exactly what has to be fixed. She has a committee of members that includes some great progressives like Rosa DeLauro, who are supposed to help get it fixed. And Pelosi said, no dice unless it gets fixed.
Now, let me ask you something, though, because Pelosi, though, is a supporter of NAFTA, isn't she?
So she originally voted for NAFTA, but she has basically said that was one of the worst votes she ever took.
Oh, so
and
would she be against it?
She's against the agreement the way it is now. And the New Deal, she said, is not something she would support. It doesn't deserve a vote. So she's holding it up, saying, this is not getting to the House floor. This is not getting approved unless and until you fix it, Trump.
Now, let me ask you this, Lori. So tell me what you are doing now about trade. What kind of policies do we need to start effecting, and how do we, first of all, back out of what we're in to create something sustainable?
So the first thing is everyone needs in the next couple of weeks to get to their member of the House of Representatives and extract a commitment on this NAFTA fight, that they will not support any deal that doesn't have the pharma stuff out and the improvements to stop outsourcing. Because we basically need to either get it fixed or we have to stop it. The New Deal. It's just as bad as the old deal. If I had the power in the future when there's a progressive president, if there was a magic wand, what you would want if you were the trade ambassador is three simple things. Number one, you replace the existing agreements we have with agreements that establish as a condition for getting the benefits of any trade agreements the fundamental labor, environmental, human rights standards.
That creates a
floor of decency.
Right, and that way nobody can make a profit on not doing those
on
things.
Misery.
Right.
On destroying the planet.
Exactly.
You condition market access on the companies meeting a standard. Right now we have global trade and no global rules. It's like the U.S. at the turn of the previous century, where we had no national laws, and you had New York saying, we'll do child labor for 6-year-olds for 2 cents. And then New Jersey said, 5 5-year-olds for 1 cent. There's no bottom right now.
Right.
So first you put in the bottom.
Right.
And then we have the international standards. So we're not imposing what the U.S. standard
Right.
is. Countries signed up as sovereigns. Just right now the trade agreements trump all of that. So that's
Right.
number one. Number two is the basic rule that no good, no service goes into any country unless it meets their domestic standards.
Right.
So if the Europeans want to have stronger privacy rights, stronger food safety rules,
You tailor your laws.
you want to
that.
sell there,
You follow those
you meet
laws.
their rules.
Right.
You want to operate there, Google, you follow their rules.
It's not a monolith, yeah.
It's not a race to the bottom.
Right.
It's not a homogenized system. And by the way, that would mean for the U.S., where we have some of the strongest medicine safety rules,
Right.
that no, we're not going to take stuff just because it's okay to sell it in Europe, which has weaker standards.
Right.
It has to meet our standards. So we have the sovereignty back as the eaters, as the medicine takers,
Right,
as the
right.
consumers to decide in our domestic
Right.
legislatures what we want. And then rule number 3 is we do need some rules to stop honest-to-God trade cheating. Generally, the problem is multinational companies using the lack of rules in the global economy. But there are some predatory countries that actually will, as a government, manipulate the rules. So
Right.
the third bucket is rules that set, rules on not cheating on devaluing currency levels
Right.
to get an advantage.
Like China does.
Like
yeah.
China does. Rules that set a floor of international tax standards. So you can't just be a tax haven
Right.
and get everyone to basically be incorporated in your
state,
place.
yeah.
Exactly, because you're going to give them the lowest deal.
Right.
And basically steal tax dollars that are needed for public services from
Right.
the whole rest of the world. So some of those areas where you could actually corruption,
Right.
where basically they're corruption havens. If
We're
you're incorporated
paid to
here,
get-
you
yeah.
can bribe. But
Right.
if you're incorporated in the U.S., you can't bribe.
Right.
So we have to have the bad behavior floor on cheating standards as well. Those 3 things would transform the global economy. We'd have much more diversified regimes of regulation. We would have a lot more spreading of investment.
Right.
We'd have to produce in more places to serve more markets.
Absolutely.
So more
So-
jobs.
And not only that, you'll have to be in some localities because now you have to follow the rules of
That's
that
exactly
locality.
correct. And so it would be an economic winner, an environmental winner,
Right.
a consumer winner. And it's basically the way to think about what rules of the global economy would be that put people on the planet first,
Right.
not multinational corporations first.
Absolutely. So, in closing, first tell me a closer. How do you want to close this? Tell me something that people out there can do
Yep.
to be a part of the solution.
So what's super exciting is right now the old neoliberal NAFTA TPP trade regime is in the worst ill repute it's been in decades. And we basically as progressives need to dance on its grave.
There you go.
And make clear what our solution is, which
Right.
is not Trump's isolationist nationalist hate solution.
Right.
So his critique is stolen from progressives. We've been saying this is a corporate
A
race to
long
the bottom
time,
for
yes.
decades.
Right.
The difference is his idea is this horrible, like white economic nationalism,
Right.
basically. The alternative is this new set of progressive rules that explicitly set a floor of standards for people on the planet and make multinational corporations follow people rules to get the benefits of trade. And the first thing we have to do is we have to force the improvements in NAFTA. That would be the stepping stone. So everyone, talk to your member of the House of Representatives. If you go to tradewatch.org, that's our website, or if you want, even probably easier to remember, replacenafta.org.
Right.
And you have there all the tools you need. You have basically fact sheets, letters, action ideas. You can order bumper stickers, pins, and you can get an action kit that can help you organize an event locally if you want to take a team of
love
people
that,
to
yeah.
go see a member of Congress.
Right.
We have a hotline number. You can call one of our organizers. We'll overnight mail you T-shirts, pins,
Wow.
talking points. So you can go during the August recess, all of August, 4 weeks, members of Congress will be home. You gotta grab them, eyeball them, hold their hand, shake it. Don't let go until you get the answer. Do not let go until you get the answer.
Now, like I said, the media doesn't give this the coverage that it deserves.
At all.
How else, other than using independent media like you are here, how else can we as independent media providers help you put your message out more en masse?
Probably the thing that we found most successful with TPP, where that debate was totally shut out until the end also,
Right.
was for people to actually communicate by forwarding information through Facebook, through Twitter. We basically have to use the corporate entities to put the message against the corporate entities. It's sad, but it's the reality. So at tradewatch.org, you will see a gazillion memes.
Tradewatch.org, folks.
They're not branded. You can add your own content to them, but it gets you the basic ideas. Here's how Big Pharma rigged Trump's new NAFTA to raise medicine prices. Here's why Trump's new NAFTA won't stop job outsourcing. And on each of the bottom of each of those, it says, call your member of Congress. It has an 800 number, and it tells you what to say.
Lori Wallach, the director of Global Trade Watch, 2 years in a row. New information, important information. Thank you so kindly for having been here with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And we are going to get it, or not. We are going to get it done.
We are going to get it done together.
Absolutely. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed listening to it again. I tell you what, the good thing about it is, like we talk about independent media all of the times, what happens a lot of times is that Americans don't get to hear the real story because our mainstream media just isn't doing it. Donald Trump sends out a tweet, everybody covers it as if it is something of substance. Donald Trump says something crazy, it's big coverage. But at the same time, behind the scenes, what's really happening is a decimation of the country. What's really happening is we get rid of all the regulations that protect the water, that protect land, that protect the air. While we are talking about this, Supreme Courts are being loaded with people who are going to ensure that when the new Congress comes in, when a progressive Congress comes in, that somehow none of that can change. Because you know why? And I have the piece that I did yesterday. I cut it up to make it shorter that I did yesterday that I want to play. Because, folks, I don't know if Americans understand the severity of what's going on right now. Because what's happening right now is the taking of a control that you can't see, right? You cannot, while you are watching the news or while you're watching TV or while you're doing your thing, and by the way, this is a call-in show if anybody wants to get in for the next 15 minutes that we're on, 646-716-5812. Again, that is 646-716-5812 if you want to get on. But here's the deal. There's so much happening in the background, right? And again, if we really were searching, we would see it, we would find it. But people are busy. People have a lot to do. I mean, it is not easy in the least for people to do what they need to do. So what I want to do is I want to play a piece that I did yesterday. And this piece, or rather this little segment that I did yesterday on KPFT 90.1 FM, I want to bring this to our audience here, our extended audience right here. So please take a listen to this. That piece that I played on the Constitution. When we talk about the merits of the Constitution, what I wanted to do with that argument about the Constitution and what Trump via McConnell is doing with the Supreme Court, with the district courts, with the circuit courts, is to explain something important to you. It's not enough for us to go out there and just say we want to win the presidency or we want to win this Congress seat or anything. We have to change the mold of the country, the psyche of the country, because there's so much that they know that most people don't. Like when McConnell is playing with the Supreme Court and playing with the district court and playing with the circuit court, a lot of people sit back and they don't think it has much impact on them. We are trying to establish a more perfect union. We are trying to establish a system that works for everybody, which means we no longer allow a plutocracy to take it all. But you know what? The American population is wising up, but they're already preparing for a wise population, and they're using the Constitution to prepare for that wise population. How so? Everybody who studied their government classes understand there's a judiciary, a legislative, and a executive. The legislative makes the laws, the executive executes the laws, and the judiciary interprets the law's constitutionality. Well, if we are going to win all these new elections
and we are going to win the presidency. The only help the plutocracy could possibly have is the only undemocratic portion of the American system that was designed constitutionally, and that is the judiciary. The judiciary can take any piece of law that the legislative branch passes and the executive branch affirms and say a corporation who now owns all these judges can now say, well, that law is unconstitutional, and it then cannot be implemented. We already have gerrymandering that has made the country a country that's not ruled by most. California has probably 40 million people or more, however million they have. And some of the Dakotas have a few 100,000. And both of them get 2 senators. Wow, that's a lot of power for a little bit of people. And now the Supreme Court is preeminent. The Supreme Court is undeniably the most powerful branch of the government, and a lot of people don't tell you that. They always talk about, oh, we have the checks and balances. There ain't no check against the Supreme Court unless we're going to then implement the difficult thing that's called impeachment. But constitutionally, you can only impeach judges with either 3/5 or 3/4. I don't remember the number, which means you have to have a hell of a supermajority in Congress to do what you have to do. So, folks, the way they intend to destroy the Roman intelligent middle class is to do the constitutionally undemocratic thing, and that is to use the courts.
And I wish more people would have the fear. Well, I shouldn't say the fear, the acknowledgement that is where we're at. That since there is a new majority emerging, a progressive majority emerging, the group that most wouldn't want to see that majority is pretty small. And their recourse to ensure that we don't get Medicare for all, their recourse to ensure that we don't get basic income, their resource to ensure that we don't get real family leave, their resource for ensuring we don't get real daycare, real care for our kids. I shouldn't even call it daycare, but care for our kids when we're going to work. A system that empowers people. Think about it. If you knew that you could take any job and afford to have your kids stay at a clean, healthy, safe place, wouldn't that make for better work environment no matter where you work, because you know your kids, your offsprings are taken care of? There are a lot of good things we can do with good policy, a good taxing system that does not really negatively affect a free enterprise system. But in a system where it is all or nothing, in a system where it is only about greed, in a system where greed is glorified, where people say greed is good, in a system where people truly believe that most Americans are greedy, the reality is they're not. Most Americans are not greedy like the big heads of corporations who just seem to never get enough. The fallacy is that greed is what moves a country forward. That is the gist of it. Greed, that is what drives it. I want to ask you something. If people were as greedy as people claim, right? The most greedy of them all wouldn't be able to amass the greed that the spoils from the greed that they have. Because there would be everybody fighting for that. I mean, it's not like Bezos and all these guys are so much more than anybody else. They just hit the right key at the right time and hit resonance frequency. And when you hit the natural frequency of any object, it explodes, it goes off, it magnifies. Bill Gates isn't the best coder. Jeff Bezos isn't the best marketer. I can go on and on and on. All of them had people that they bounced ideas and they got things off of, and they just capitalized on the idea, and then they kept all the spoils, or they kept the majority of the spoils. And that's how I want everybody to start seeing every single billionaire, every single one of these folks. It's not that they have anything over you. It's that they were really, 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 really the greedy ones. Most Americans, most people, most human beings are just that, human. And they care about people. and they care about good things happen. But those people that are up there, they've taught you to respect them and then listen to the things that they have to say. And my goal is to make sure you have much disrespect for those who claim to have attained but have not done so but on your back. And that is such an important concept for us to get in our heads, because we have been so blasted and bombarded into believing that these people are so much more than us. And the reality is, we are what makes them. And if we can empower ourselves with that reality, if we can empower ourselves with knowing that that is what is the truth, then we can do so much more. If we can just empower ourselves. Politics done right, that's my goal. That's our goal. All of you guys that are supporting Politics Done Right, all of you guys that go out there to patreon.com/Politics Done Right and support us, knowing that you are going to get access to the entire book line that I do, please go ahead and go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right and support the program. And guess what we have now? Check this out. We have all kinds of t-shirts, but this is the one that I kind of just put together. You like that one that says Politics Done Right? A woman has already won the U.S. presidency and one can win it again. You know, so go to store.politicsdoneright.com, store.politicsdoneright.com, and you can get all those good things that we have, including stuff like, guess what we have here? Our cups to support Politics Done Right. And why would you want to do that? You're not doing that because the cup is worth, too much. It's just a cup. It's to make sure that, just like we had Lori Wallach on telling the story, what's really going on in America with the trade deals, with the tariffs, with the pharmaceuticals. You heard Trump making a whole lot of news, right? The NAFTA #2, I don't remember what they call it. And he said it was so good. You didn't have any of the guys on NBC, MSNBC, CBS, Fox News telling you that within that new bill, the thing that is supposed to help the American population, especially those in the Midwest, that's been so hurt by us exporting and outsourcing jobs, that what it did is it gave a monopoly to pharmaceuticals so that they could extend their patents and much more. You didn't hear that on TV. So you think it's all okay. So when Trump starts campaigning, Trump is going to say, hey, I have new NAFTA. I told you I was going to do it. Misión cumplida. Mission accomplished. But it's crap. And we know it. But we don't have the mainstream media telling us the truth. We don't have the mainstream media informing us. So we think, Trump is, let's say Trump, it's only a close election. It's only a close election if Trump gets to undeniably lie without the kind of push. They push back when Trump says, oh, my crowd was bigger. Oh, the news media said, oh yeah, his crowd wasn't really bigger. When he says a whole lot of those things that are immediately obvious, oh, the mainstream media is there to say, oh, he's at line number 12,000 now. But why don't we get to the core? The core is what he's doing with the new NAFTA. What has it? Okay, yeah, the new NAFTA got rid of the courts that could tell a city that, okay, you had to allow that corporation to make a profit in your county, or you're going to have to pay them for lost profits. Okay, that is crazy. But that's what capitalism does for you. Control the government and you can allow them to do that, right? But what are they not telling you? What are they not telling you? And that is what we do here. Just like Laurie came on and told you something that, yes, it's right there in the books. But not many people are hearing it because the mainstream media, they're all concerned about Donald Trump's tweet. And as long as we are a tweet-based country, as long as we only care about the shallow, and I'm not saying we do. I'm saying that's what's offered us. What's offered us are the tweets. A real media would give you the meat. Like Lori Wallach gave you a few minutes ago here on Politics Done Right, the meat. And that's what we're talking about. And for that, that's why I ask, please support organizations like ours to make sure that we can have the meat, and not only support it by subscribing. Please go to politicsdoneright.com, and there are all the options that you can subscribe, donate, contribute, purchase, all that good stuff. But we have to have independent media here supported. Just like Lori mentioned there, when she's on MSNBC or CNN, they give her 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, and not only and they do a whole lot of the talking and makes her into sort of a songbird answerer. If you notice, we had 20-something minutes of an interview with her doing most of the talking, which is what it's supposed to be. She's the one who knows what's going on to tell us. And she did a good job of doing that. So, folks, please go ahead. I'm going to put it up on the screen one more time. Go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Please support progressive media. We cannot survive without you. We really cannot survive without you, and we do need your contributions. We need your PayPals. We need your Patreons. We need your purchasing at the store on all of that. We have a lot of T-shirts. We have this one here that I'm showing you right here. That is the one that we just did with the Politics Done Right logo with that phrase, a woman has already been elected. And I have the T-shirt that I wore. If you saw the little clip that I did a few minutes ago, I was wearing the Politics Done Right T-shirt in Vogue. So in gold or whatever that color is. Sometimes I'm colorblind. So please consider supporting. All right, we are going to be getting out of here pretty soon. I want to first of all thank all of you guys for listening. I want to ask all of you guys to please, please, please share these programs, because the only way a lot of folks are going to see this who can make a difference, right? You share it to somebody picks up a few things from it, they talk about it to their friends, they may even share it to their friends as well. And that is the way we form that alternate media, you be the media, where, yes, they're not getting it on MSNBC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, and all of that, but they do have an avenue how to get the truthful information, practical information, and information that allows them to make the best decision they can at the ballot box. And that is what we need out of you. Yesterday, I was pitching for KPFT. I was pitching a whole lot for KPFT. We're trying to keep that progressive station, independent community radio station with a 100,000 watt transmitter up. So help them out as well. Also help out Politics Done Right here as well by going to patreon.com/politicsdoneright, or just go to politicsdoneright.com and contribute. Subscribe. I'd love to get 100 subscriptions in a day. Doesn't happen that easily. It's hard to get people to commit, but give Politics Done Right a coffee or two a day. A coffee or two a month. Help out, help us keep the message going. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. Please be a part of the solution. Please let us all do our part. This is taxing, but it is something that I feel we have to do. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.